doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. I saw you got it. What was the response?
Checklist of things that need to get done.
How you doing?
I'm here to step on all that.
So you won't tell you? I'm going to get up on the stage. Have a seat right here. We'll fry that one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to stay up here and get that late early.
I got a spot. Hey, Bernie. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We want to start now. Everybody ready? Some people walking in. We'll let them sit in first. Hi, Mary. Okay, once again, if you got a question, scan that QR code and I'll get it up here. Hassan?
Yes, sir.
You want to do a prayer for us?
Yes, sir.
You got a mic?
All right, we're going to bow our heads for a moment of prayer. Eternal God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this time. Thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. We ask you, Father God, to give us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, to come to an understanding on one accord. Ask you, Father God, to lead us, guide us into all truth. Ask you, Father God, to prop us up where we may be leaning, build us up where we may be torn down, and strengthen us where we got weak, that we may be forever to work together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I was going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone wants to stand up for me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag Thank you, everybody. Well, once again, I want to thank Pastor Lipscomb for allowing us to meet here in this beautiful church. Is Pastor Lipscomb here? No? And I want to thank everyone else here for coming. Thank you for allowing me to be your commissioner. It's an honor to be here with you. If tonight I can't answer your question, again, like before and like always, I'll bring your questions to an authority. I'll bring it to the FDOT, I'll bring it to county staff, and I'll get the answers. If you're here to talk about anything outside of roads and Galvez Landing, you're at the wrong meeting. This agenda is about road safety and the projects we have coming up, and about Galvez Landing, please. So I asked for the safety stand down so we can just take a pause, and that's what I call it. I don't know if anyone read what I described as a safety stand down. If anyone who was in the Navy or the Marine Corps or any other military service, they understand what a safety stand down is, and that's what this is. This is us taking a pause to discuss the roads and project priorities, and one unrelated subject, which is Galvez Landing, which is taking on a lot of life of its own. So let's begin. I want to thank Sheriff Simmons for putting the traffic monitoring on Sorrento Road. Thank you, Chip. I saw him, there he is. I talked with him this morning. I think he's got some relatively good news about what he's learned just over the weekend at that monitoring spot. I've had this discussion already, and I discussed it today during my engineering meeting about the speed limit being more consistent along Sorrento Road to Gulf Beach Highway. Because I think from Burrito Key Drive to Bauer, it's 45, and then it turns into 55 after that. And no kidding, I had somebody email me and text me, if you're in here, you don't have to raise your hand. They said they've been on Sorrento doing 80 miles an hour, and they have been passed by somebody. That's hard to believe that you could go that fast on that road, or when you could go that fast on that road. Now, the FDOT tells me that that road is built for 60 miles per hour. That's it. So if you're going 60 miles per hour, you're pushing the limit right there. And I know I push it at 60 miles per hour myself. But anything more than that is just dangerous for you and everybody else. So I'd like to make that speed limit consistent across, Sorrento and Gulf Beach Highway. And I think I've got, from talking to FDOT, I think I have their support for that. I think they think it's a good idea. What else? So I think everybody knows that we've got a repaving project going to happen. That's going to go from Bauer Road to, I think it's Dog Track. It's going to get repaved. That's starting probably in September. The bid process is happening right now, and I guess by law it's a 90-day process. So at the beginning of September, to right around the middle of September. Fingers crossed, we'll have that repaving, resurfacing project started. And it's like a 300-day project, and with weather delays, they could add another 100 days to that. But it's going to happen, and it should get done in about a year. He's got a microphone. I'm sorry?
I said Bower Road doesn't go to dog track. You said between Bower Road and dog track.
I mean, yeah, from Bower Road on Sorrento, from Bower Road to
On
dog track.
Sorrento, you didn't say that, that's why I was thinking.
I didn't say that. You're gonna have to assume some things about what I'm talking about up here. They've also, FDOT completed their inspection. This is something they were supposed to do probably, well, and that's the way things go. But I think probably let's see, it was May, I guess it was February, last FDOT meeting. Inspection was supposed to happen on that road to start doing some pothole filling. And they just finished that, I guess, in the last week and a half or so. And they have filled some of those potholes on Sorrento. Has anybody noticed that? Because
Year after year.
Because I noticed that now, I was telling Hassan and the engineers at my engineering meeting that now that I'm commissioner, I seem to be paying attention a lot more to the roads. I'm evaluating every road I get on to see if it's a decent road or not, and I probably should be doing that. But they filled the potholes just east of Bower Road in that westbound lane. That's the problem area. So they've done that. It's just a temporary thing. So I don't know how long it's going to last. I suspect they aren't going to patch it again. So we're going to have to wait for the resurfacing in September. I was asked in an interview last week what was the most important thing I can do, or we can do, to remain safe on that road. And I told them in the interview, as WAR, that the answer is to slow down. We have to slow down. Many years ago, was any aviation safety officers in the room? Yeah? At Aviation Safety School, NAS Pensacola, I remember being taught about the experiences that affect our decision-making as pilots. The most dangerous pilots were the pilots with less than 1,000 hours of flight time. And that's because they had so much more to learn to be good naval aviators. Then there's the pilots between 2,000 and 3,000 hours. In aviation, you're always learning, just like in a lot of other professions. But at this point, that pilot's acquired a lot of knowledge and experience, but they're still very cautious. They're very safe. This is the safest group, the 2,000 to 3,000 flight hour group. The most dangerous group is the most experienced group. They have big collateral jobs. They might be an XO or CO of a squadron. They have a wealth of flying experience, and they've started to fly a little bit less than the rest of the pilots in the squadron. And getting on the schedule is something that they do when they have time. So they may get a little complacent. That's the most dangerous group. I'm getting to a point. The point is this. I'll have you removed if you keep it up. Just don't interrupt anymore, and we'll get to the point. So the point is, we are that group of experienced drivers. And maybe we have gotten a little complacent too. That's why we got people going 80 miles per hour on Sorrento. So we do need to slow down, and we need to take a pause, and we need to drive more defensively. There's deer grazing out there on that road at night. You've seen them. There's drunk drivers. There's people texting. And there's guys like this guy that are distracted.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're distracted, you have
For
accidents.
a matter of fact, you're trying to beat around the bush, acquire fans. You're not acquiring any fans by talking about demonstrators. We'll talk about Galvez.
Yeah, get out of here.
So Galvez Landing is going to be the last thing I talk about, so you can just go take a bathroom break or something. Last week, the Transportation Planning Organization had 3 workshops. The workshops were to get public feedback for the long-range planning priorities. How many people went to that? Anybody go to that? Nobody went. Yeah, it was advertised, but maybe not so good. I don't think anyone really knew about it until I probably posted it on my Facebook page. So is that where you saw it? I'm gonna try to do a better job of relaying that information myself, because I don't think it does get out there very well. Well, the Transportation Planning Organization is complicated and it's not complicated. There's 5 commissioners from our county. There's 5 commissioners in Santa Rosa County on it. There's 5 city council members from Pensacola, and then there's another 4 city council members from Orange Beach, Milton, and Gulf Breeze, and one other on there too. So there's 19 members, and I'm only 1 vote. I think that is skewed a little bit for my liking. I think it's skewed a little bit because, 5 on the city council for Pensacola seems like a lot to me. So anyway, my point is we don't get what we want just because we want it. But that isn't, and that's what this long-range planning schedule is for, and the workshops are for, to find out where the problems lie, and what we want to get fixed. I have a heat map that I'll make sure you guys see it on my Facebook page, and I'll make sure the county puts it on their website too. And the heat map shows where we have our mishaps on our roads. 98 and Sorrento, it's red throughout the whole thing. So the whole thing has accidents. There's not a safe spot on the road out there. It's not safe. I've asked my wife not to travel that road at night, Sorrento, because it's dangerous at night. Chip, want to come up? So I'm going to ask Chip to come up and tell me what he's learned from his traffic monitor. Thanks, Chip.
Thank you, Commissioner. First, I think it's important for us to understand that we're here trying to help. We're trying to work on some things, and the only way we can do that is if we discuss these things like grown-ups and make sure that we understand their points, and then there's other people's points, and not all of them are wrong. All right. We at the Sheriff's Office do not work traffic crashes. Let me start by saying the Florida Highway Patrol works traffic crashes. They also are charged with traffic enforcement. The Sheriff's Office, we answer calls for service and we do those types of things, but we also can help with some traffic enforcement. But mostly, we handle 911 calls, domestic violence, and they handle the rest of that sort of thing. So I felt like it was smart to contact the Florida Highway Patrol and ask them about the 2 fatalities, the most recent fatalities. Now, you may not want this information, but I think it's important because it gets a lot of press. The 2 fatalities, one was a bicyclist who was found to be at fault, and one was a habitual traffic offender who was obviously found to be at fault. So I also spoke to Lieutenant Tampery, who's around here somewhere, working in Perdido area, and he said about the same time, we also we stopped a car with an individual that overdosed and basically went out right there in the middle of the roadway. We had to give him Narcan to revive him, and so there wasn't another fatality there. So what am I telling you here? I'm telling you that according to the Florida Highway Patrol and according to some of our anecdotal evidence, speed itself is not the cause of these fatalities. It is drugs, it is DUI, it is being under the influence. That's why we as a Sheriff's Office have have prioritized fentanyl, because that's what's happening with these individuals. We've doubled the size of our narcotics unit. We've made these arrests. Now, does it mean we're not doing traffic enforcement? Of course we're doing traffic enforcement. Of course we're working and helping and doing the best that we can when we're not answering calls for service. The Florida Highway Patrol also tells me this. The concerns that they have on this particular roadway deals with no improved shoulders. You guys drive it, I'm assuming, every day. You know what, I'm not involved in the TPO, but I'm telling you, if you improve the shoulders, it can go a long way, right? And that seems to me like that makes some sense. Very dark roadway. You guys have been there, it's a very dark roadway. And they told me that they do plenty, in their words, plenty of enforcement. I'm not sure what that means. It seems like, you know, my family always thinks there's troopers everywhere. But my thought is that they are doing their part with the traffic enforcement, and then we do our part to supplement that as we can. So, and that's what we see. I can tell you that a very long, dark, straight roadway without improved shoulders is a challenge. It is very much a challenge. So whenever I talked to Steve a couple of days ago, I said, hey, why don't we put our speed trailer out there? It has been there in the past. It's been in different locations. And our speed trailer, those of you who do not know, it measures how fast the cars are going to and from, and it gives us a percentage. And the statistics are that 94% of the cars that drove by there were going under the speed limit. 94% of the cars. Now that doesn't mean that we don't have a person going, what, 85, which I don't know if I would admit to, but 85, and then someone passing them going clearly more than 85. You're going to have that on every road. Now what am I saying? I'm not saying that Sorrento doesn't have a speeding problem. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you have two agencies that are doing their best with what they have to keep that speed down as much as they possibly can. The speed trailer hopefully is there to remind people that you should slow down. The speed trailer is there to let us know when the best time to run radar, to share that information with the Florida Highway Patrol so they can run radar if the plan is to reduce those crashes. The last thing I'll say from the Highway Patrol, they, quite honestly, they seem a little surprised. They said that over the past, I want to say this is a couple months, they have worked 86 traffic crashes on Lillian, and they have worked 40 traffic crashes on Sorrento. Again, these are just these statistics. I'm not trying to make it one way. I'm not trying to make it the other way. I'm simply telling you what we know from based on the statistics. Now, Steve can probably get the information from EMS to get you how many calls they respond to, because obviously when there's a crash on a road like that, someone's going to get hurt. But many of those crashes are single vehicle crashes where someone loses control, and the ones that they have mentioned to us was not about speed. Although speed could have been a contributing factor, but when you're under the influence of fentanyl, methamphetamine, God knows what other kind of drugs they have, it doesn't take a lot of speed to crash your car. And so that's some of the things that we see from a law enforcement perspective. Again, the Highway Patrol has more detailed information, but that's all I can give you at this point based upon the efforts that we have. Again, Tony Tamburi is here. He's a lieutenant in the Presidio. He's very familiar with the roadways, very familiar with the speed and all the information that he gets, he passes on to me as well. Any questions for me before I give it back to Steve? I hear you have another thing you want to talk about. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there. I understand you're saying that we're not really having a speed problem on Sorrento Road, and I can understand that. It is like a absolute, it's so bumpy. You couldn't go 55 miles an hour on that road if you wanted to, honestly. I have a small car and I cannot keep it in balance. We've got potholes, we've got bumps when they repair it, we've got a bump. If we don't have a bump, we have a hole. It's an obstacle course, so I don't understand I can understand why we're not meeting the speed limit, but
Well,
I think
and
there's
that's
a
part
lot. And you know, when you're swerving around trying to miss a bump or a hole, that's dangerous as far as I'm concerned. I find that road very treacherous, especially at night.
And especially in the rain, when there's mud, and there's a number of things going on there. Look, it doesn't take a genius to figure out if it's dangerous because it's a long, winding, dark road with no shoulders on it, It's probably worse if the road itself is not the greatest in the world. Again, Tony made mention that he's surprised that cars can go that fast because of the condition of the road, but also because of how busy it is, you know, during different times. So if it's around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah, an individual can go faster. I don't know that I want to brave that on a motorcycle with the potholes that you're talking about. But again, that's not something that I can speak on. Steve would have more information on that.
But
All right,
that's
thank you.
something I think that should be addressed, because I think it's really a big issue, and it kind of stems from Walmart to Bower Road, that stretch. They paved most of Sorrento Road, and I don't understand why they would not have finished the whole darn road. It doesn't make any sense to me, but anyway.
Thank you for your time. I'll let Steve address that.
Thank you very much. So I can't explain that either. I mean, over 10 years ago, they were talking about 4-laning Navy Boulevard all the way to Theo Bar's Bridge. And it was going to happen in sections also. Right now, on our TPO priority list, the 4-laning of Sorrento Road from Perdido Key Drive to, you gotta look it up. It's number 5 on the list, and it's from Innerary Point Road to Blue Angel. That's number 5. At number 16 is Sorrento to Gulf Beach Highway. Is from Blue Angel Parkway to Fairfield Drive. Number 15 is Fairfield Drive to Navy Boulevard. So they're not married up, and they need to be. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's the way they budgeted. So that's when that's happening. I hope you think it's safer now that they did patch a little bit of the holes there. I go over that thing, and it's a little bit, it's still safer. It's better now. I mean, at least I'm not. I go over those roads in a Mustang, so they're low. They don't have much bounce at all. Except they're just good for turning corners, not for going over bumps. Mike's up here. Where's the other mic at? Let's keep a mic in the front and a mic in the back. Go ahead, ma'am. When was what was done? It was probably just done in the last 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah. I noticed it, I think, yesterday is when I noticed. Okay, let me see. Yep.
You mentioned something that's called number 5 on your list. When is the date that that's supposed to start?
I'll tell you right now. So, number 5, well, there's no date for starting, but I'll tell you when it's not going to start. It's not starting anytime soon. So that stretch of road it's not on the cost feasibility study. It's not funded. It's to widen the lanes, and right now we're still seeking money just for the design. Gulf Beach Highway, number 15, Fairfield to Navy Boulevard, same situation, looking for design money. Number 16, looking for design money, and none of these projects are funded. Well, the problem is money. I think on the long-range planning priorities, there's 370 projects, and they add up in today's money to about $13 billion. And we have less than 500 million. So, 13 billion, in 2050, I don't know what that's going to amount to. So let me talk about some of the other resurfacing projects and stuff. Is everybody here just from Perdido Key? No? Okay. Go ahead.
So when you say that we don't have funding for those projects, we're number 5 on the list, for those of us who have been residents out here for 30-plus years, we've been hearing that for a long time. Number 5 on the list doesn't mean much. What is it that we can do to help you get that funding? Because no one that has been our commissioner this far has made it a priority to make Sorrento safe. When you say, they just put in some new potholes or paved in new potholes, we've been seeing that year after year after year after year, and it doesn't make that road safer. I don't blame you for telling your wife not to drive that road at night, but most of us have to get home, to get to our kids, to get to wherever it is we need to. So again, my question is, how do we get that funding and make that number 5 a priority where we're not waiting another 30 years or even 5 years?
Yeah. Well, I know lots of people can't avoid that road. I can avoid that road, and my wife can avoid that road. I know people live on that road and they can't avoid it because they've got to go that way. The way we can, you can help me with that is you can contact Milton, and you can contact Chipley, and you can let them know, I'll give you the phone numbers, to contact them to let them know that we've got a problem here. And I think that, so when I talked with the FDOT about it, they said that we can bypass that. There's a way to move this up. And it's only to make the roads safer. And that's what we want to do. We want to make it safer. Like I said, it was 10 years ago they talked about, I think Rick Scott was actually the governor at the time, and this was very high on the priority, and there was a former commissioner that he said that they had acquired the money to do that, to 4-lane that, way back then, and it was nixed. So I don't know what's happened since then to the roads, if there's been any improvements to the roads, but it's an ongoing problem. And what I have to do, and I've already got my script ready at the next TPO meeting in August, when we start deciding to adopt their priorities from the workshop and stuff, is I need to make the case for Sorrento Road. Everybody else is going to make cases too. I bet if there's a heat map, the heat map will show a lot of problems in District 1 and probably District 2, because we got nothing but 2 lanes out here everywhere we go. So it's not just a priority for me to make it safer for us to travel on, it's also a priority for us so that we can get to emergency services and emergency services get to us. But it's contacting the Transportation Planning Organization and letting them know that we've got a problem out here. And it's my job to do that. I do that for you. But the more voices, the more important, the better it works. That's how you make your government work for you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. One thing y'all might want to look at is signage on Sorrento. When you pass Walmart, you get a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. That's the last one you see on that whole road. You do see the ones that slow down to 45 at a couple intersections. The problem y'all have is you've got out-of-towners and even some in town, they still thinking they're doing 45, but they didn't have to see that 55 sign. So you get people impatient behind them who travel that road every day and know the speed limit is 55. They try to get around it. Y'all have no signage on that road about speed limits. If you want to make it 45 all the way, hey, that's something you can look at. But at least let people know that it's 55 on that road. Because most accidents are people impatient trying to pass someone who's going below the speed limit.
Yeah, I think that was the point I was trying to make, is I'd like to make it consistent. If it's not consistent, no one's going to know it. Now, we're local, so we know it, but I'd still like to make it consistent for the out-of-towners, because even though the sheriff has got data saying that 94% of us are abiding by the speed limit, it's the other 6% that aren't, and then it's the out-of-towners that are coming into town, this summer, that are going to be speeding. Yeah,
If they had a sign that showed them what it was, they'd know better.
yeah, I agree. Anybody? Wait till you get a microphone, because I can't hear you. I got some new, okay.
Just a quick follow-up. Was TPO invited to this town hall?
I invited one, a couple of members were getting out of town. I invited another one, but it was pretty short fuse for me putting this together, so I couldn't expect it. But I did talk with them on the teleconference when I was in Orlando, and what I did is I put a lot of questions together, and I got some other questions from some other folks to ask them, and they were pretty forthright with their questions, or with their answers.
I'm a little confused. Earlier in the meeting, you said that, I thought you said resurfacing was going to be done on Sorrento from Bauer to Blue Angel, I believe. Or Dog Track, you said Dog Track. So, and it starts in September, it lasts a year. Doesn't that take care of these potholes, et cetera, et cetera?
That resurfacing will fix the problems on that road, so it will be safer, but it's not gonna happen until September.
Is that the same, isn't that the project that's number 5 on?
No, that's not one of these projects, no. The project I'm talking about is 4-laning, all the Sorrento, and then there's a project that's 4-lane, Blue Angel and other roads, 6-lane Pine Forest.
I see. Okay, my fault. One comment then is, or maybe a question, is when you do resurface it, won't it increase the speed on that road? Because now they don't have to slow down for all the bumps and potholes.
Well, we can still monitor that road and set the speed limit, what we think is a safe speed limit. So this is a rule of thumb that I got from, I don't want to mention anyone's name at the FDOT, but it's a 75% rule. It's what everybody does on that road. And essentially, it's a safe speed that 75% of the people follow. So whatever that speed is what they're going to set there. And we can adjust that, and that's what I want to do now with the roads now. I don't know what it'll be if we 4-lane that whole thing. You know, right now, Gulf Beach Highway is not a highway. I don't know why we call it that. But that's what some of us treat it like. It's a highway. It's a parking lot a lot of times. It's a parking lot. We can call it the Gulf Beach parking lot if you want.
I've been lived on it for a few years now. I noticed that since they smoothed out a lot of all the time, there's a lot of passing that goes on now.
Yeah.
And it's not the bumps
Yeah.
that slow people down.
We're going to create other issues, for sure.
As roads get resurfaced, who falls behind all these utility companies, et cetera, they dig holes to make connections to the water line or the power line, and then they leave a pothole.
Yeah.
I mean, we just spent $1 million to surface a road, and then ECUA or Gulf Power or Joe's Electric Company comes in there and tears it up, and they leave a pothole. Who's responsible for bringing it back up to pre-existing standards? Not better, just what it was the day you started the job.
Yeah. Well, I've seen what you're talking about virtually everywhere in the county. And the patchwork that I've seen, one that sticks out in my mind is on Barrancas, right after you get off of Navy Boulevard and you're heading east on Barrancas. There's a couple of potholes that have been patched a couple of times, and they still look terrible. They still continue to sink, and everyone still avoids them. It's the utility company or Joe Schmuckatelli Plumbing or whoever. They're responsible for making the repair. Now, how well that repair is, I don't know. I don't know how the county probably needs to have some responsibility in making sure that it is up to our standard by monitoring or managing that.
Is that code enforcement action?
I don't think it's code enforcement, Wes. Who would be responsible for keeping an eye on that, Wes? We don't really monitor that real, do we?
We should right-of-way permits and follow up that process with inspection on that.
Okay, so we follow up on it. The county does.
But the problem is, 3 days after the project is finished, is when it starts sinking, not the days.
Yeah, you're right. Well, and that means more follow-up. You're right.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't get the agenda for today. Is Lillian Highway going to be discussed
Yes,
later?
it's not just Sorrento. I want to talk about all the roads. I want to let everybody know what's happening, and I've got a list of what's going on and what's not funded, because it's all, everything, nothing's funded. Sir.
Commissioner, I live down on Canal Drive, and I agree Sorrento needs to be fixed, but I drive that road every single day, and I rarely get up to the speed limit. We're almost always at a standstill. We can fix Sorrento all we want, we can put 4 lanes in there, but it's never gonna fix the problem of a choke point on the key that we created for no reason whatsoever. And it also doesn't fix the problem of a 2-lane bridge. The choke point's gonna be right at the entrance to our neighborhood, right before the bridge. So what's the point in making Sorrento 4 lanes if we're just gonna choke everybody all the way back to Walmart and farther?
I get it. Even 10, 12, 13 years ago, when they had the funding to 4-lane, or they thought they were going to have the funding to 4-lane, it did not include the Theo Bars Bridge. It didn't include that. And my understanding is, this is what an expert told me, is you get the rest of it done, and then you'll be able to get the money for that trestle, that other side of their bridge. I guess that's how you do it in government. That's not how I would do it, that's not how you would do it, but that's how they do it. You gotta show that need first, I guess. It's ridiculous, I understand that. And that's more expensive than that whole road. That's gonna be more expensive than 4-lane the rest of that road.
The real problem is the circle.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to the circle.
No? I'd just like to remind everybody that there's a difference about the roads here in Escambia County. You have county roads, but you have state roads. State roads, you need financing and permission from the Florida Department of Transportation. So sometimes the commissioners can't jump on a problem and get it done because it's a state road. So if you want to help your commissioner, how about emailing some of your state representatives that are in Tallahassee? Because they have a lot of input to Florida state stuff. So when you're driving down the road, if you see a sign, it has a number on it, that's Florida. That's not Escambia County. And the commissioners try to help us out, but it's Florida. And if they have to do every single state road in this state. If they have funded or about to fund something here, and they get notification in Palm Springs that there's 50 deaths on a highway, and the highway's just not safe, they're gonna go to that highway first.
Yeah, the light that was that we have now, it's pretty new, the last, I guess, couple of years maybe. The one that's at Doug Ford Road. When I first asked about that, I was told that there weren't enough deaths there before they would put a light. And I know why there's not enough deaths there. It's because everyone goes down to the Winn-Dixie and does a turn around over in that direction and come back to go north. I know that's why. Well, we did get that light there, eventually. So there doesn't have to be a lot of deaths. So I think we can bypass that. And Mary's right. You can. It's my job to lobby our state reps, and I will, and I do. But it also helps if you've got a loud voice like you do here. You got to do it with these guys too, to let them know. The more they hear it, the more pressure they feel, the more likely they're going to help. Now, like I said, that we can bypass it by showing the need to make it safer. The deaths that we've had, and I've got a list of all the deaths and all the incidents that have happened out here. here someplace. And so I can give you the numbers while I'm looking for it. You can answer, ask your question.
My name is Salvo Barrazo. Commissioner, you know me real well. I have talked to DOT 2 different occasions this past week. I'm not arguing your statistics, but they told me that 4-laning was number 10, not number 5. And when I asked them what we could do as a community as a whole, basically said your representative is who we listen to represent your folks in your area. Now, what I can tell you, what I gathered between the lines, you're gonna have to do a really good job about what you said earlier, lobbying. There are many things that we can do, matching funds to make that 4-lane happen. You have many accidents on there, not because the sheriff isn't doing his job, they do an excellent job. Widening the shoulders is not gonna be the answer. You don't 4-lane it, you're gonna have young kids that get very antsy and they want to pass people. It causes accidents. They pass me all the time. I come up down that road 4 or 5 times a day, and I've seen it all. I've lived here all my life, which is close to 77 years. I think you need to be at every one of those meetings. You need to get creative. You've got really good grant writers in the county. They can come up with matching funds. There's several bonding issues that we can do with matching funds. I've done a lot of research on it. You can do PPPs. That'll help. When I spoke to 3 people, one is in Tallahassee, Dave, the other one is Mr. Bond, who's in Milton office. And he expressed to me that he wanted from number 10, which he told me was 10, not 5. It could go back up to 1 and 2. And when I asked him how did he get from number 1 and 2 down to number 10, he said you have a very aggressive commissioner, prior commissioner, that knew how to lobby, knew how to make things happen, knew how to, get a hold of the right people. And I would say get yourself real educated, go to all those meetings. Don't assign anybody to go to the TPO meeting, go yourself. And there's a lot
Okay,
of
stop.
smart people.
So I do go to all of those meetings, and I've got just adopted on May 14th, 2025, the last TPO meeting that we had. And it's number 5, it's not number 10. It's a project on Davis Highway that's number 10. So your information's wrong. Now, the rest of what you're saying is correct. Yeah, we have to lobby. And it's not gonna just take a commissioner. It's gonna take more than a commissioner. It's gonna take people too.
Let me tell you what he said. He said he's had over 300 complaints, and they could have 3,000 complaints. And unless you as our representative get up there and come up with some real creative funding, matching funds, it ain't gonna happen in our lifetime. So take it for what it's worth. I heard you were gonna assign somebody to go to this PTO. You need to go yourself.
Okay. I go to all the TPO meetings. I have one person that's on the Citizens Advisory Committee. He's right there next to you. He goes to those meetings. I go to the TPO meetings. I'm a board member. I go to every board that I'm assigned to go to. So I don't know what that comment's about, but that's nonsense. I go to all the damn meetings. And now, what I will need to do is I'll need to be louder probably at these meetings, and that's what I talked about. I've got my script. I'm gonna have to lobby for this because I'm one voice. There's 18 other members on the TPO. So you can be a loudmouth on the TPO and not get anything. And maybe there's gonna be some horse trading. I don't know what it's gonna take. But I'm building relationships with the people that are on the TPO, Santa Rosa County, and the city council. And that's what I think it's gonna take for everybody. Because even the people that live in the city or work in the city they might live out in District 1. I live in District 1. I got people over here on the right side that live in District 1. They want it as much as I did. So they're lobbying me as well. So trust me. I know that the most important thing we can do is as government, is we have to think about safety. That's our most important job. And today at the budget meeting, I was at the budget meeting with Wes and Stephen Hall. We talked about just how much money goes to safety. The budget for the sheriff's department is all safety. The roads, that's not counted as safety, but it is safety, isn't it? Wouldn't you think that the money we spend on roads is for safety? There's a lot of things that may not count as for safety, but that's generally what we do at the county. And I think it's important it's not just important to me, I think it's important to to the staff too, not just because that they're citizens, but because they know it's their job to make it safe for all of us. Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Stroberger. I'm here primarily for Galvez, but I'm going to wait because I know that that's not what's of primary importance to most of the people right now at this point in the meeting. And since I have been active in county politics through all these different iterations of the road challenges, I think that I've got a comment and then there is a question. What disturbs me and what I'm hearing is there are a whole list of things that are somebody else's fault or just the way government is. It's the TPO, it's the CAC, it's Northwest Planning, Sheriff's Department needs to write more tickets, the bridge is bottlenecked, it's the BCC, it's bureaucracy, it's those damn plumbers that are making these potholes, and Larry's gonna be really upset that you made up the name of a plumber instead of saying, you know, Eco Matters. So when you came to office, it was less than a year ago, the 4-laning of Sorrento was number 2 on the list for the TPO, and there's not any disputing that. And I
No,
don't.
there is disputing that. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's always been number 5. It was number 5 last year, it's number 5 this year.
Well, no, that's not true, but the real point is that once it does get surfaced, they ain't touching that road for a really long time. Because that's one of the oldest DOT tricks in the book. You throw a bunch of blacktop on and you go, oh gee, well we can't disturb that, Commissioner, look at all of that money we just spent. Is it possible, and this is a pattern, the staff had fixes for the roundabout keyed up. That hasn't happened. You were keyed up with the beach access. You took the money away from it.
No, that's not true.
So
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
So sticking to Sorrento, since you know that once they resurface that road, they ain't touching it again for another 10 years or so, 5 years at least, would it not be prudent to go to them and ask for some sort of an emergency stay so you can try to cobble together some money to get that 4-laning? The ROW is already all acquired. The hard part is all over. How do you get the 4-laning back before they come smooth that road over and call it a day?
The 4-laning is not going to happen before they resurface that road. The resurfacing is going to happen, and it's not going to stop the 4-laning when it happens. So, boy, I was expecting her to be here. Here's what we need. If you don't have the mic, don't talk. But wait. Do you want the mic? Okay. So let me regain control of this. I think I already said that I'm going to lobby for 4-laning. I'm going to do that. I live out there. She doesn't live out there. I do. I live out there. So I don't even know why she's here. She's here for Galvez Landing, and she wants to talk about this. I know you do, and I know you didn't want me to be your next commissioner too. So that's why you're here, and that's why you're saying things that aren't true. Yes, I am. I'm saying who you talk to. Give me the name. You don't have a name. You're the one who told me that you were telling Costello's that Stroberger doesn't support the Blue Angels. What kind of crap is that? All right. Go ahead.
Keith Bowe, I'm on the CAC with the TPO, and just to let you know that the TPO has Sorrento Road as number 5. It's number 10 further down on another assorted list that has multiple projects going at the same time. Now, on August the 12th at 2 p.m., at a place to be announced will be the next TPO meeting. So if you want to go up there and have a public comment, and I really encourage everybody to do so, put down on your calendar and the time or the place will be announced. But it's on the calendar for the TPO meeting Florida Alabama TPO and Advisory Committee Project Priorities Workshop or workings is going to be on Tuesday, August the 12th. It could be at a public library, it could be in Gulf Breeze, and it could even be in Santa Rosa County, because these are all tied together. But if you show up and you talk, you will get on the record. What Steve is talking about is exactly true. Now the four laning probably will not occur for 5 to 10 years because it takes that long. Right now, the interchange on at Interstate 10 and Beulah is number 1. After that's going to be Pine Forest. And there's a couple of other things to go in between. And number 5, what it comes down to is the very last part of the process after planning is the funding. So the fact that it's not funded is not going to happen until all of the plans, the right-of-ways, and all of that is taken care of. So I'm just hoping to clarify that. But I really want to encourage anybody to write down August 12th, 2 p.m., and probably a month before that, maybe only 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be announced where they have the location.
Testing. Okay, I'm going to move on to some of the things that we're working on. One of the things we're working on is on Bower Road and Gulf Beach Highway. I understand there's a problem with the boats coming out of the state park. We're going to do a analysis there to see if we need to put a light there. Beulah Road and Frank Reeder Road, again, they're still working on the light possibly going in there. On the strategic intermodal system, the SIS projects, I told you, well, no, I didn't tell you this. Number 3 on that list, the SIS list, is Blue Angel Parkway from Sorrento Road to Highway 98. They've done the design for that, and now they need the money to build it, so it's construction money. Yeah, that's the kind of monkey business that goes on with these things.
That project you just mentioned.
Blue Angel?
On that,
I'm sorry?
What is that project?
That's the Blue Angel Parkway project. That's Sorrento Road to Highway 98. It's number 3 on the SIS list. It's the wide, it's 4 lanes.
And funding is already in.
They've done the design and they got the right of way. They got to fund the construction now. Number 11 is Pine Forest Road. That's I-10 to Pine Forest Drive. And that's to widen 6 lanes. That needs funding for the right of way. Keith mentioned the I-10 interchange at Beulah Road. It's fully funded and construction on that's going to start in 2027. On the non-SIS projects, and if you don't know the difference between the non-SIS and the SIS are basically the major roads, like I-10. That's a SIS. Sorrento Road is not, and I'd like to move it onto the SIS list. It's number 5, I mentioned that. Number 5 is Sorrento and Rarity Point to Blue Angel. Number 15 is Fairfield to Navy Boulevard, and number 16 is Blue Angel to Fairfield Drive. None of these are funded. They're still waiting for design. And it's the widening 4 lanes. Number 3 is Pine Forest Road to I-10. It's 297A to I-10. That's the widening 4 lanes. That needs money for right-of-way still. Number 4 is 9 Mile Road. That's Mobile Highway to Pine Forest Road. That's the pedestrian overpass. There's a pedestrian overpass that's going there at the Beulah Middle School. Everybody probably knows about that. It's been talked about. Capacity, it's for capacity and for Navy Federal Credit Union improvements there on the road there. I think that's in PD&E, and they have, and I guess there's a reevaluation going on for that. For the Transportation System Management Project priorities, State Road 297, that's Pine Forest Road to Wild Lake Boulevard. There's a realignment, some of you that live up in the northern area, you've seen this, there's a realignment of Wild Lake Boulevard into Pine Forest Drive with a new signalized intersection. They're gonna add bike lanes, shoulder, sidewalk on both sides. It still needs design and right-of-way and construction funding. Number 3 is Blue Angel Parkway at Grand Bahama Drive. That's right outside here. They're going to install a traffic light there. Design is complete, and they still need the funding for construction. Number 4 is Beulah Road at Frank Reeder Road. Let's see what we got here. We got this is a northbound left turn lane, southbound left turn lane, road extension, northbound right turn lane. They're still determining the right-of-way that they need. That's underway now, but they need design and construction funding for that still. Number 6 is Mobile Highway. That's State Road 10A. That's to Pine Forest Road at the Escambia County Fairgrounds. From Bellevue Avenue to Godwin Lane, that's another traffic signal upgrade, turn lanes extension, and pedestrian improvements. Let's see what else we got. So this is fully funded. Let's see. Blue Angel Parkway, Gulf Beach Highway to Sorrento Road. That's a bike path, trail. It's fully funded, and construction on that's going to start in 2027.
Steve, what was that? Where?
From Gulf Beach Highway to Sorrento Road, right there where the library is. That road, that stretch up to Sorrento, is going to get a bike path and a trail. Bike path, trail, that's fully funded. And then there's a resurfacing project at Pine Forest Road from Mobile Highway to Blue Angel Parkway, another resurfacing project at Sorrento Road from Bower Road to Dog Track Road. The bid process has begun, and the start date, that's the one I just talked about, starting in September. And today, I just gave a thumbs up to do some resurfacing on Inverarity Point Road too. That's been overdue. So that's what we have going on right now. I'm going to push as hard as I can to move projects up the list. But like I said, everybody's got a project. So it matters if you say something. It matters if you say something, and I'll make sure you have the email and the phone number to call and address it. Okay? So, Amen.
Commissioner Steve, my name is Dr. Farine Thatch. I own a house in District 1 as well as a business in District 1. I just want to thank you so much for taking the opportunity to hold a town hall. I lived here since I was 2 years old, and the past 10 years, I don't remember anyone really holding a town hall for us to share our thoughts and opinions. And something I just wanted to share with you beyond roads is that earlier this year, my uncle was killed by a hit and run, not in your district, but in Pensacola. And then in your district, my mom was hit head on. Thankfully, she was safe and didn't have any issues. Yes, the roads are very important, and we know that's something that we've been discussing most of the conversation here. But something that Sheriff Chip was talking about was, drugs. And today I was thinking about the town hall, and one of the distinctive things that makes my clinic distinctive is that we go to the root cause. And sadly, I'm seeing a moral decay within our county and our city in general. Even though I lived here all my life, I went to school in Seattle, and as many of you guys know, Seattle is going downhill. And I just want to bring that to your attention because, while we are addressing the roads, we may want to address things that may address the moral status of our society. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Also to thank you for what you're doing. And I know that it's been very difficult in general to be a commissioner in Escambia County, especially District 1, because we know what has happened to past commissioners, so thank you.
Thank you. So you're right about that. I don't want to address the moral decay, but I plan on in the Commissioners Forum to talk a little bit about what you're talking about, because I think there is a problem with, you expect me to respect you, and I like to respect back. I'm not demanding it. I'm the elected official. I need to be able to take any criticism that you give me. But if we don't do it in a civilized manner, then how are you going to get anything done? So we don't need to do you want a commissioner or do you want a soap opera? So what I'm going to do is I make the right decisions for the community, and I listen to the community when I make decisions. I was just telling Wes this today and the rest of the folks in the engineering department that I hate asking for anything. I hate to ask because it feels like it's me asking for myself. But I'm asking for you. The things that we need is for us in this community. And I took the oath for the whole, to serve the whole county, not just our district. My focus is here though. My focus is here in this district. And I'm gonna do everything I can to move things up, priority list, get roads paved as they need to be. What you're not gonna find is you're not gonna find me getting everything done before an election, okay? It's amazing how much you can get done at election time. I'm gonna get things done throughout the year as we're able to, as we have funding. And enough about that. So can we move on to Galvez Landing? Okay, one more question.
I want to ask about Inner Point Road in particular. You just said that it's going to be repaved soon. What is the date on that? But I have a follow-up.
I don't know when the date is on that. It's I think we're gonna put the bid out now, so it's gonna probably be a fall start date.
So sometime this year in the fall, possibly, or next year in the fall?
Near the part of the year, fall about 6 months.
Yes, it'll be in the fall.
Okay. So my real question is, Inner Point Road is a long road into a neighborhood, right? Not a highway, it's not Highway 98, it's not 271, any of that sort of stuff. How can we, in addition to getting paved roads, slow traffic and make it pedestrian friendly at the same time? How can we make the most of a project like that? Yes, sir, because that is a problem. We have people that are killed on that road as well.
Yes.
We have children walking down that road that are not car savvy, people with pets, bikes, all the different forms of transportation, and it should be a neighborhood on Inner Point Road, friendly road, not a county road where we're.
It's a neighborhood, the whole island's a neighborhood, the whole peninsula is a neighborhood.
Yeah, I live towards the end, and it's not uncommon for people to be going 50 miles an hour down my road. I've had several crashes in my road, so, on my property, I should say. But my point is that we should, in conjunction to that, be making that a slower traffic. Not that changing the speed limit does that, but things that we can do with those, pedestrian friendly or motives along with that. Whatever we have, so it would take like a quick study to see right-of-ways and different ways that we could do that.
So the Sheriff's Department is putting another traffic monitoring device out there on Inner Point Road. It's to gather information. Now, coincidentally, I don't know, it was today or yesterday, we got an email about someone saying that they've seen people doing over 60 miles per hour. I don't know how, it's 35 miles per hour on that road. Yeah, and I think that person was being generous. She said, I would appreciate if people could at least stay under 45. That's still fast. It's a very narrow road. When you're traveling a road like that, that's what I mean about us being experienced drivers. If you don't have a hazard, you think there's no hazard if you don't have one in front of you. So You can't wait for an accident to happen to be cautious. You gotta be cautious now. And I think 35 miles per hour is a reasonable speed on that road. If we can keep people at that speed or 40, I think that'd be great. I worry about the repaving. Someone talked about repaving. If we repave that, is it gonna allow people to go faster on that road?
So again, my question really is, how can we make that a slower traffic road for our community, for our pedestrians? That sounds good.
Well, then what we need to do is we need as a community to talk about what we think the speed should be. So let's talk about what that is, and we'll address it. I want it safe too. You know, when I drive on that road, I'm very aware that when I'm on that road, nobody better see me going fast on that road or any of the other roads. I monitor myself, just like I'm watching the roads and monitoring the roads and assessing the roads. And I think we all need to do that to some extent. But I get what you mean. I've had to stop Pizza Men on Inverarity Island from driving so fast, you know. So the pizza delivery guys, I get it, and we can talk more about it. If you have any other questions for me, you need to email my office, or you need to make a phone call. That's the best way. Emails are better, because then we could collate them and address them as we get them. One more.
So, Inverarity Point Road is 35. There are other roads like Sandview Drive that are 30. So when somebody's zipping down Sandview at 30, it's a little bit much to think in their head that they're going to get onto Inverarity and go 35. Because they should be going 30 on Sandview. It's a 1,000-foot road. But so there's a disparity, you know. I mean, if you're going to go 30, you're going to make the left. You're hitting the gas. You're going to do 50. Maybe Inverarity should be 15. Maybe Sandview should be 15, and other roads like that are short, so that it's logical to go from 15 to 35, not 30 to 35. Just a thought.
Okay. Galvez Landing. Who's here for Galvez Landing? Did I talk about that? Oh, the traffic circle. Yeah, well, we want to talk about traffic circle too. So, yeah, I understand about Lily Highway. Yeah, I mentioned that right, I understand. Well, the same applies there. We probably need to do some traffic monitoring there too. I travel that road a lot too. I know that people are going fast. I know we need to slow down. That is not on a list for 4-laning or anything like that.
Had recently.
Okay.
So why is it now being ignored? It's not that important.
It's not being ignored. It's not being ignored. This meeting was to address all the roads, and I did talk about, I talked about Highway 98. In fact, today I was trying to distinguish the difference between, because I got two heat maps for Highway 98 and one for Lillian separately, because they separate there. And it's dangerous too. The heat map, if you want, I'll show you later, it's red throughout, just like Sorrento is. There's not a spot on the road that hasn't had an accident. It's had accidents throughout.
Lillian Highway, if you haven't got someone there to maintain that, it's just going to be a continuing problem. And there's going to be more accidents and there's going to be more deaths. I mean, within less than a quarter of a mile, 2 people have died. Between Bower Road and where we live.
Yeah, I understand Bower Road's a problem too. After you get past the school, I think there's 3 different speed limit changes on that road. And we talked about that today, didn't we, Wes? About Bower Road. One of the questions, maybe this is something, a suggestion that came from you, was a light at Bower Road, and I can't pronounce the name of it, the neighborhood, ALT something. That's too close to Highway 98. We talked about that today, to put a light there, so that doesn't make any sense. Bring the mic back down here, please, and don't give her the mic.
They've just built 36 new houses directly across the street from us, which is less than a quarter of a mile from Bower Road. And you've got people coming in and out of there all the time because there's only 2 entrance and egresses out of Halcyon Drive. And the one is right where the traffic light is and no one uses it. So they're all coming out of the same area. We knew this was going to be a problem when they initially wanted to put in high-rise apartments. And we petitioned against that. So now they're putting in 36 houses. But that's not going to help things at all because they're still using the same entrance and egress, all right, onto 98. And that's part of the problem.
That's, what road is that again?
No, Lillian Highway,
Off of Lillian Highway, what's the intersecting road?
Halcyon Drive, Halcyon.
Okay. I'm gonna have to investigate that. We are gonna do a traffic study there, but I know that it's gonna, Bower Road's gonna be, it's gonna get clobbered. Lillian Highway is gonna get clobbered once they start to work on Blue Angel. Because even though there'll be a bypass there, I expressed my concern for everybody using Bower to get around the Blue Angel Road project. So there's a lot of issues to take care of.
Now, coming out of my subdivision, I cannot make a left-hand turn. I turn right and go through the parking lot of the Mormon church. That's the only way I can get out.
Are you suggesting you want a light there?
No, we can't put in a light. It's too close to the light on Bower Road.
Because there's lots of places like that on Gulf Beach Highway, just like that, that you can't make a left turn. It's dangerous.
Right.
It is.
But now they've put in this new little subdivision, 10 acres, 36 houses. It is what it is.
We'll get together. Okay, Galvez Landing, okay. What? Oh. So that's a hard one. That's a really hard one because if everybody doesn't know the history of that circle, there was an FDOD report that said don't do anything there, don't put a light there, don't put a traffic circle there, don't change the speed limit. It was working fine. There were a few accidents there. They weren't due to speeding. They were 1 or 2 miles over the speed limit. There were a couple of drunk driving accidents. It was still working. That corner was still working until now. Now we got a problem. It's too small. It wasn't engineered well. And I've had people saying, let's demo the thing. Some people have asked me for a light. Well, I'm not looking for hands to vote on this because this is not a focus group. I want professional traffic engineers to decide what we really should do there. I don't. Is that what you are?
I agree with you. Why not just take the center of the circle out and put it back the way it was? I can't imagine that costs a lot of money to send a team down there to just bulldoze the middle of that circle. Make it the way it was, paint some lines, and then do your study and put something in there that's going to work. But until then, it's the beginning of the season and the traffic is backed up to Walmart every day. So what's going to happen July 4th or in August? I mean, it takes us an hour to get from Walmart to the Perdido Key Point intersection. It's madness.
I know. Hey, look, I know that too because I don't live on that side of the traffic circle, but I go that way all the time, and I understand the problems. I haven't actually seen a lot of the traffic that you're talking about because I guess I traffic at different times. But I know that sometimes when I turn around Inouye Point Road and I look up that bridge, it's nothing but cars. I've seen it going, and I think the biggest problem is probably going south maybe. I guess it depends on the time of the day, than coming north, even though the south lane is a speed lane, essentially. The right side is a speed lane. There's just not enough, it's not big enough for you to make a decision whether it's safe to get in or not. And I know people even stop in the traffic circle to let you in sometimes when they think that that side of the road has been waiting too long. It needs to get fixed. We'll find a way to fix it, and that might be an idea. I'm going to talk to staff and we'll figure out something. I know it's a problem. The truth is, nobody was saying anything about it for a long, long while. And I thought, oh, everybody's getting used to it. They've figured it out. But that was during the off season. So we may have figured it out, but not everybody's got it figured out. Yeah.
In your email to me yesterday, you said you're waiting to acquire more land to expand the circle. So we don't have enough money as it is.
No, you're right.
To do anything. So why acquiring more land costs money, building
It
the
does.
circle costs money, and you said it wasn't recommended in the first place. So get rid of it because it wasn't
Was that your
recommended.
email? You sent me an email.
100%.
Yes. You want to get rid of the whole thing.
Get rid of it. It wasn't recommended
So
in
what
the
I
first
hate
place.
doing, I
Get rid
hate
of
doing
it.
is I hate just giving up on it. But
It wasn't recommended.
you're right, you're right.
It's no problems. It's a
Yeah.
failed experiment.
You're right, the right-of-way, roundabouts require a lot of right-of-way. We got an acquisition, they need a lot. So if it doesn't become, if it's not feasible, we won't do it. And we might be just doing like exactly what you said. But we won't put a light there. We'll never put a light there. Because I think that's the last thing anybody wanted, especially on Johnson Beach Road.
We don't have enough money for our other construction projects. What is acquiring more land, spending money on that, expanding our problem going to do?
Well,
What cause delays with our other?
I wouldn't do it to expand the problem, I would do it to alleviate the problem that we have there. I'm not saying that's what we're doing, or I'm gonna do that, I'm not saying that at all, we're gonna figure it out, and that might be the solution. Okay.
Take it out. It's just bricks and curves.
Okay, thank you. Respectfully, okay, because I drive Sorrento every other day. It's our Target, it's our Walmart. We buy our dog food at Barney's, so I'm not here for nothing. You did say that you represent everybody in the county. I did not agree with the traffic circle, okay? Never agreed with that. We advised Jeff not to put that in. We said it's an Underhill boondoggle and it's gonna mess things up. He really thought the best thing was to go with it. When he realized it didn't work, he said publicly, many places, that he had staff draw up 3 solutions. Taking it out altogether, making it bigger, and putting the stoplight back. And the staff had written up those solutions for them to then be submitted to everybody in your district currently. So why can't it go back to that? I'm not sure you're aware, nothing that was ever your fault, nothing that happened before Commissioner Burgash became commissioner. That traffic manager for the county scrunched that thing up. It was supposed to be a bigger circle, and for potentially development reasons, it got scrunched up. So you've had staff drew up solutions. Why reinvent the wheel? Why not just go to staff and ask for the solutions they propose?
I'm not gonna reinvent anything, and I'm not gonna scrunch anything. It'll work, or it'll be gone. That's what we'll do.
What she's saying, we were supposed to get those results from Commissioner Burgash in October of last year, and he got voted out, and he just was like, not my problem. So he's never heard anything. The results were supposed to be posted for everybody. I have no idea what was.
Well, we'll look at those. I'll make sure you get them, and all the problems are my problems. So, whether they're my fault or not, but there'll be problems that I'll have to solve, and I will. Okay, now let's get to Galvez, okay? I know that's not a great answer for that, but we're gonna work on it. So there's been some concerns, and I'm not sure, I know that the county didn't actually put a notice out about Galvez Landing, the project that's going in there. So we were trying to figure out how anyone knew about that, and so I'm trying to figure out why nobody knew about it until recently. So it's not something that's happening tomorrow, the next day, or even in the next year. We've actually got a lot of time to decide to do this. What we've done is we just recently got an extension on a permit that gives us another, I guess, 4 years. It was just 5 years to decide to do something. I was briefed on Galvez Landing on that project when I first was elected, and it sounds like a good idea to me. Now, I want to know what everyone else thinks, because I don't know if everybody understands what the project is. So bring one of the mics up here. This guy's been waiting a long time. Let's see what his understanding of the project is.
For one, we have complete understanding of what the goal of the project is. And for two, I speak for everybody when I say we don't want it touched at all. It is completely perfect the way it is, for multiple reasons I could explain if he wasn't so close to me. Thank you. So, we don't want this project because, for one, we know that by doing the project, we're trying to achieve more parking. If you took a statistic study, you would realize that, and if you were down there, you would realize that 9 out of 10 days, there's a whole bunch of open parking. It may be 1 out of 10 days, or maybe 4th of July, the days that are always going to be a lack of parking. For two, the way that the blueprint is set up is going to completely disrupt the flow of the people and the way they navigate down there and the way they operate down there. That is one of the most sacred, please don't interrupt me, that is one of the most sacred heartbeat places of our community. For one, it's we the people, not we the government. We don't want it messed with. For reasons probably you don't understand. Are you down there? Are you seeing the kids enjoy it every day? Are you seeing that there's no problem with the flow of traffic? Are you seeing that there's no problem with the boat ramp at all? And it'd be a complete waste of money. We don't want the boat ramp on Cruzette. We want the boat ramp exactly where it's at. Do you understand? When you have a boat ramp, you need a big open spot in the middle to be able to pull your car in and back your boat in efficiently. When you leave someone just a narrow road and you want all that to be parking for what? To achieve how many more parking spots? It doesn't accomplish anything. And you want to build a seawall, take down our oak trees, plow down our beach and build a seawall? No, we don't want that. We want it left exactly how it is. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. One of the gems of our community. We don't want it interfered with at all. Our government is not for our people. We don't want it interfered with at all. It is completely perfect the way it is. And for two, do you know how many people that are disabled that go down there and have a stunning view of the waterway and the boats that come down and can park their car in an efficient manner the way it is? And if with the blueprints that you show, you'll be disrupting the view of all the people that are disabled that can't get out of their cars. 90-year-old grandmas that go down there with their golf cart that couldn't access the hangout spot, if you even know where that's at. You would be building a seawall where it's a hazard for kids that are 2 or 3 years old that don't have the income to be on a boat, that are down there, and that's their heaven. You understand that? That's their heaven. It's heaven on earth down there. It does not need to be messed with. We don't want the government telling us what to do with that land. We want the people to decide. Listen to the people. Understand the feelings and the ways of what the people want.
That's what we're going to do tonight.
And let's not ever go forward with this project. And can I have a show of hands for everyone that does not want this project to go forward, and we want the boat ramp left completely as is. Thank you. My point proven. That's all I need to say.
Okay, I'm going to read something that I just read before I came here tonight. This was on somebody's blog. It says, District 1 Commissioner Steve Stroberger canceled a $2.8 million restore project that would have constructed additional public access on Perdido Key, where current public access points are routinely overwhelmed. Baloney. I didn't cancel anything. Haven't canceled anything, and apparently I've redirected all this money to this project that I'm resurrecting. which I haven't resurrected. Okay? This was something that was briefed to me. I like the idea because, and I brought some friends with me to talk to you about it, because I don't think the understanding of what this is for is understood. It will improve access. Right now you have this piece in the middle that's empty. The cars are coming through. It's not really safe in the manner it's designed right now. So cars are coming in here, or in boats and whatnot, coming in, circling around and turning around and stuff like that. Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. It's going to improve safety because it's going to be in accordance with some new design standards. It's going to improve drainage. It's going to improve the quality of the water that our kids are. For my safety?
No, when the government tells the people this is for your own safety, that's a good thing, right?
It's going to be better for the water quality. Come on, we can knock it off. It's going to stabilize the shoreline. We're not going to remove any trees.
Please don't mess with this.
There's going to be more swimming area. It's going to be bigger. And it's just going to benefit the community. You want to speak about this, Tim? Look, what I'm doing here is I'm gathering information. That's what I'm doing. I haven't decided anything, and I haven't pulled the trigger on nothing. And I haven't taken any money away from something somebody else wants. Haven't done any of those things. I'm here to understand what your concerns are about it. My grandkids go there. I've had ice cream out there when the ice cream boat comes there and gives us ice cream. I enjoy it too. This, I thought, was going to make it better. That's what I thought. That's what I've been told. It's going to make it better. It is going to provide for more parking, but you have to understand that, I don't know what year. So this is a project that started in 2018. This is one that started in 2025, 2018. Two other commissioners before me were okay with this, okay? They were going to do this. So the uproar didn't start until now because I guess everyone's just finding out about it right now. So I want everyone to know more about it. There's going to be sand, right? You want to come up here? Yep.
Does this work? Well, everyone can see me. I'm short, but I'm not that short. I know a fair number of folks out here. My name's Tim Day. I'm the Deputy Director of Natural Resources. If you didn't see it, kind of in this, where you went and signed in, there's a 3-page packet. And what it is, it kind of tells the story of Galvez. The very first page is how it used to be prior to, I think we restriped in 2022, so it's kind of the historic, how it's kind of been since effectively the 70s, sometime before. At that point, you had 44 parking spaces there, but each parking space was 40 feet long. And I'll use myself as an example because it's easy. I've got a 4-door short bed truck, and I've got a 20-foot bow rider. I overhang one of those spaces by 4 or 5 feet. So the way we had it before, if anyone you remember, it only took 1 or 2 people parking wrong, and it could take you hours to figure out how to get out of it. While this plan was going on, the midterm solution was the restriping that happened and how it currently is today. We dropped from 44 parking spaces to 28, but it is functional as it is today. Just, a little less spots, even though there are a fair amount of people that are moved to the inner area. With the redesign, and I hope most people have the packet. If not, I'm also going to give a cell phone number, and email to provide information. What this does, the hangout as described, where people like to go, that area is going to remain as a natural beach. That eastern dock kind of goes across, is intended to remain for utilization by the residents for fishing or other recreation. And our goal was to try to get the boat traffic away from where kids are playing. propellers and pits are a tough combination, especially if you're navigating the intercoastal current that you have. All of the trees along the shoreline stay. So I apologize. We can certainly. Okay, well, that's part of it. If you get one of these packets, it's going to help a little. But like I said, I'm going to give a cell phone number. I'm happy to talk to anyone individually. I'm happy to do it by email, so you can, trust what I say tonight, but you can take an email and hold that right up.
Hey, let me add this also. So there were roughly 44 spaces once upon a time, and it was during COVID in like 2021 where they remarked the spaces, and it was down to 28. It was a temporary solution for the problems out there. 28 to kind of limit the access out there. 28 spaces. This is just bringing it back up, but not quite up to 44. It's going to be 40 spaces or something roughly like that. And it's going to provide space for kayaks. It's going to include public restrooms, sewer connections, and again, like you said, improve safety measures for the sunset viewing area. There's going to be grass. There's trip hazards with all the trees there now that exist. The roots are exposed. That's going to be covered up. We're going to cover that up. We're going to bring some sand in, and I don't know, some grass or something else. And we're going to. There's a beautification project we're talking about out there too. So I don't see a reason not to do it at the moment. I don't see a reason not to do it. Hassan, over here.
Yes, Steve, we got $11 million sitting next door to the park, jail up. And it's time for us to pay a little attention to Galvez. I've been here for a long time. We have limited spaces that you can put our boat in at, and Galvez could be upgraded. It can meet the needs of people who go down there locally, and it meet the needs of fishermen who go down there.
And it's not just the people that go there to view and have ice cream or sit and enjoy the sunset. Galvez Landing is for boaters. That's what it's for. And I thought we were improving it.
It is an improvement. The guy that said, it's hardly used. Most people coming across town don't go there because they know it's full. They think it's full. And really, it is a local place to launch boats. And when you look, we got that, we got the park, and we got over by the marinas in Bio Chico, and that's it. So we do need improvement, and we need to get back to 40 spaces. Plus, they're going to be longer for the pontoon boats and all the other bigger boats.
I would like everyone to just pause on this and understand what the project really is, because I don't think everyone quite knew what it was. They think it's going to encroach on it, and I heard some nonsense about a developer building something there. Not happening. That's not happening. So I think a better understanding of what the project is and what it's meant to do would make a big difference. Is there anything you want to add, Keith? I see you back there. No? You sure?
Just real quick, so part of what has brought this kind of ahead right now, the posting out there, is we're just kind of finished up the public comment period for Restore. And so really what had happened or what brought it up is the board had selected this as one of the projects they'd like to receive a grant from Treasury from to be able to construct. Presuming that the board moves that forward, when it comes back, it's going to go back to the design engineer. It's going to need to be updated. We'll have an opportunity for public meetings to have additional tweaks done to the design if that's the desire. Prior to that finishing, then it could also then be considered for construction where there's yet another stop from the board. So it's what we're kind of talking about tonight is to move forward to potentially consider funding a construction project. And with the design, and we can make sure that everyone can get a copy of what's out there. But the design right now is the kind of idea on what it could be. But there's opportunity coming forward for additional public input and to potentially modify it further.
So up until today, and I think the public input actually ended today, is that right?
So just general comments did end actually this past Friday, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to provide comments, because if they move forward with at least consideration of the funding for it, we still have a fair amount of time to go to still get public input on how to have the best possible product out there.
So up until, I guess, yesterday, we'd only had 14 comments. Just 14 comments. I know, but there's only been 14 comments. 5 of them were against, 4 of them were supportive, and the rest of them were neutral. So we need more comments, we need more input, and you can provide us with that.
What about the additional traffic it's going to bring down?
So we talked about that. Was one of my questions. And right now there's a lot of traffic already. People coming in and finding out there's not a place to park and going, leaving out, or people just kind of exploring the area and leaving. So there's a lot of traffic anyway. I don't think it's gonna increase the traffic. I was just told today that, what they did over there at, what's the other place? Our only other, at Grand Lagoon. What they did over there, it didn't increase the traffic there when they improved that. So I don't know. It makes sense to me that it might increase the traffic, but like I said, and we've said before, it's a local place. The local folks are going to use that place. And so I don't know how much more traffic if it'll increase traffic at all. Mike over here. Oh, I'm sorry. Back there first. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is about the landing itself, as far as use of it. So who has proper use of the landing? My wife and I go there, we're very quick about launching and getting the boat back. And when I come back, she comes back with the boat, and I try and get on the boat, I can't, because there's charter boats lined up all across the landing. As last time there were 8 of them. You ask them to move, and they say, that's tough, whatever. They don't want to go. So then you try and get law enforcement to do something about it, and the sheriff tells me that they're not responsible for that because they're in the water. So whose dock does it belong to? Does it belong to the state? Does it belong to, who controls it that I can call and say, hey, I'm trying to get back to the dock that I put money in. Also, I want to know, do they need licenses to do a business there? Next, if I want to do the same thing, can I get 5 of my friends together? Because it only takes 4 boats that are 25 foot or even 20 foot to totally tie up the entire dock. And they sit there for an hour waiting on their customers to come, and I can't get back to the dock to get my boat back. I can't get on it. I can't, and they're also taking up trailer space. So they're parking their trailers, like you just said, there's only X amount. There's 8 of them, so that's 8 spaces gone. So are they paying for a license to run a business on a public dock? And is that legal? Is there anybody checking to see about that?
So the small charter boat captains, it's, I'm going to use, I love air quotes, but it's an issue at all of the local public docks. We don't have a set of rules that say who can or can't utilize our docks, so they're publicly available for anyone to utilize. It's, well, and it's, right, if you got carcasses in the water, then it's FWC or possibly Marine Patrol. It's a public boat ramp. It's, unless we go down the route to create a set of rules and then a way to, enforce them. But there is nothing illegal with a charter boat utilizing a public boat ramp.
Jam us up. I'm down there every morning, and there are a dozen charter boats. Every morning, tying the dock up, parking lot, the whole shebang. And then the dumping of their waste is, even though there are signs, it is pathetic that they still dump right there where everybody can see.
And it's, So one of the things, and it's probably best, I'm sorry, really it comes down to, at some point, if we want to decide, you know, as a community that we want to set rules for docks, and then move towards a way to enforce those rules.
Hello. So these charter boats that pull up, I've taken pictures of them. The license on their boat is not in compliance. It's not even the current year. Is there no control whatsoever? There's nobody that can come down there and check these boats to see that they are in compliance?
But it's, I mean, it can be done by FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation
There
Commission.
are dedicated spots there for them to
Right.
park and monitor that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Then it gets resolved.
So your statement earlier about the old, how it previously was at 40-something spots, now we're down to 20-something spots, and we need to get back to that. Well, first of all, that's not comparing apples to apples, because the old spots were very small. So even though there was 40-something spots, that many trucks and trailers could not have gotten in there. So even though we have 28 now, that's really not a decrease from what we previously had, because you couldn't park there anyway, that many trucks and trailers. And then my second question is, in looking at the new proposal layout, the way that it is, I'm happy to hear that we are going to have some further input on this design, because this design does not look like it will work at all. You have your traffic coming in from Galvez, turning in. You've got a waiting line here for people to wait to pull up to dump their boats with parking off there. Well, once you have a line of trucks and trailers there, there's no way that these other cars, trucks and trailers can back out to get out of there to be able to dump their boat or pick up their boat. So you created a bottleneck right here at that very first row, not to mention when they can't get out, there's going to be arguing because no one will let them out, because then they're going to be in front of them. This is a disaster design.
Yeah, hey, Commissioner, yeah, thanks for being here. My name is Captain Greg Mick. I'm part of the fleet of charter boats that operates out of Galvez. These folks here, yeah, they come. Guys that moved their boats out to accommodate them, doubled up the boat. Yes, we do. Yeah, wait for our customers in the morning. What we put into the community as far as what we spend every day on our tackle, buying gas. Our customers that come are coming from Alabama. We're spending money there. We're supporting pump stations many a time. We're up there in the afternoon. Our customers, we're promoting the local restaurants right there. You got Salty Pearl, Captain's Corner, and the other restaurants we send people to. You know, I mean, we try to accommodate everybody. We throw our fish in the water, we go out in the channel and discard the fish out there. Yeah, there were guys that were cleaning fish on the dock. I have a table for the bigger fish, and it goes it's cleaned off, not on the dock. We do whatever we can to accommodate. As far as them coming back in the afternoon, there's 30-foot pontoon boats tying up. The other day, there was a freaking 50-something foot boat tied up, waiting on somebody. That's not charter boat. There's more people clogging up the marina than it is charter boats. We want to have a good relationship there, because why? Yeah, we're there. We're there every day.
Hello, you still there? All right. I'd like to comment on this boat launch stuff, because back when Mr. Underwood or Underhand was in there, It's when all this stuff got started. It basically got started by them guys right over there talking about the boat now, running their boats off of them. So while we were going through all this over the years, well, we had to go to the MACD. Well, we went to the MACD. We told them how we felt about it. And there was two guys on the board there that denied, didn't even want to have anything to do with it. So when Mr. Begosh was in office, we had him table this. He tabled it because he knew it was a piece of, don't get me started, bad. There's several other people in here that have been involved in this. I have the paperwork back where we had petitions, we had a town hall right there at Hubs, and everybody had their comments and cards and everything. We do not want the damn thing. What we do want is you to come down there and put some sand back in there that's been eroded out there since Sally, and nobody's done a damn thing about it. So, I even asked Mr. Begosh before he left office about getting some sand down there. Well, when they repaved the road, the launch down there, because it had potholes in it and everything. They finally redone that. But when they did, they built it to where it's eroding the trees. The water that runs off there is eroding the trees. A Boy Scout does better than to do shit like that. So, why don't y'all come out there and do that instead of putting a Band-Aid on it out there? Take your money, buy some more places to put boat launches, because if you look it up, in Escambia County, I think we got 9 boat launches. San Rosa County has 28. Go figure.
Hello, I'm Stacy, and I'm a resident of in Rarity. May I hold it, please? Because this is odd. Can you come aside? And I actually voted for you. Okay.
Everyone told me they did.
Yes, I did. And I'm getting yelled at it for it a lot. But I'm here today because I love Galvez. We all love Galvez, but we're all adults, and we know that maintenance needs to be done. There's a question to me, why hasn't it been maintained? And like this gentleman over here said, that sand should have never got to this level where it is risky. And we've had major bad engineers around here. I mean, I myself drew up a little plan that is much better than what I'm seeing from these engineers, okay? Now, I hear that some of the land is coming back that Hub has been using, that is, he's only like 8 feet or something from Hub Station. So I'm proposing a few things here. One, we don't need that last road by the water. Two, we need to move those boat launches, like Tim yourself you said. The boats are bigger now, they're longer now. We have our professionals, we have our people like me, recreational. So we have all sizes. So there's too many packed in. It's gonna make a lot of angry people because we're gonna have the fishermen and the recreational people. And then again, like it was Bowen that said, the boat launch is not really busy every day. I mean, I live walking distance from there. And another problem I'm seeing, and when you start rerouting this traffic, is they're gonna start going through like down Galvez, around Balteras. They're gonna go down these alleyways to get their stuff together because they're gonna be so rushed to pull out their boats out of that launch that their belongings are not together. So what they do is they go through our neighborhoods and they pull over and they get their stuff together there. Now that's causing more traffic in already our little neighborhoods where the speed limit is too high, by the way, at 25. I have requested and spoken in the past about some speed bumps. That's not getting anywhere. That was put back on me to collect the signatures for that while I was taking care of my stage 4 husband. Okay, cancer stage 4. So, you know, I'm really having a problem with a lot of these people in the government of Escambia County because they're putting so much stuff on the citizens when it's y'all's job. Y'all are the ones getting paid the big bucks with big benefits to take care of this. Now, like I said, we're all adults and we work together. I sat down there and talked to the fishermen. They're polite. Yes, there's some that are assholes, But you know what? There's some citizens that are assholes too. Okay? All right? And now another thing is what we need to do, because I know that there is that thing that you got a little bit perturbed about a while ago, about the townhouses and condos. I would like to see something that secures that Galvez is not going to be privatized. Ever, if that's possible. Because it is the communities. It is woven into generations and generations of people's lives up there. Not mine, and probably not yours, because I wasn't born here. But it's very important. And I'd like to say thank you for doing this, because I am one of the ones that started the online petition, because I had a 70-something-year-old lady come to my house after dark. I would ask that you please be more open with your people, and I appreciate that you're going to keep this open longer, or we can have a good discussion. And I'm more than willing to share my plan that I drew up that eliminates and takes down, it adds about 11 to 14 spots only, takes the land back from hubs. And I would suggest that, since you said it was going to take a year or so for us to go through this, for anything, whichever way it goes, I'd suggest somebody go ahead and go down there and put the sand down there now, border roads anymore. I mean, why do we have to hold off on maintenance just to get something rebuilt? Why can't we maintain what we have now while we do adult, proper conversations and debates on what really needs to be there for all people that are invested? And also, I would like to bring up this. Could we please look at some more land to buy to do another boat ramp? We have 300-something new apartments. We have all those storage units, you know, that are just in Winn-Dixie for boats. People are building everywhere. We have to have more, sir, and we can put them all up down the bay all we want. They're coming to Inner-Raritan. They're coming, they want to get off, as you know, in the Intercoastal, you know. Can we lean on Lillian and get them to open up some more where their people won't come so much? Can we lean on some of these other districts to get those people to build some, to where their people won't come so much?
Hassan, could you give her one of my business cards? Give her one. I'd like you to come by the office so we can talk some more about all the things that you've been talking about. I want to tell you this. I want to say this. I don't want to blame, this project is not something that you can blame a commissioner for, whether it was Underhill or it was Burgash or me or before that. So this was a project that the staff identified. It sounded like a great thing. It was restore money. Why not do it? It seemed like a good idea. Maybe there should have been a lot more public vetting way back then to figure this out. But they designed it, and I have to tell you, when I first looked at it, I thought it was great. Maybe there's too many spots. I don't know. Clearly, we're going to have to reevaluate this. I appreciate how strongly you feel about it, and everybody else feels about it too. That's why we're having this discussion. And the online petition, what's her name? Stacy? I actually didn't see the online petition until yesterday, and I had already scheduled this thing. But I appreciate you doing that. I saw there was a lot of people that actually wanted to do this. I don't think I saw that many people here, but
hello, this is Fran again. I think there's one thing that I'm feeling about this Galvez situation. I think we need to remember that this is a neighborhood facility. We have families that come here. Yes, we have a lot of voters that want to use it, and I think that's wonderful. But I think we have to remember that this is a neighborhood that we're putting this in. And I don't understand why the commercial people that have these charters and everything are coming to such a little place when we have marinas that they could go and have their, boating and fishing or whatever. And I think we should concentrate on having it a nice, clean place, maybe improve a little bit here and there, but anything major, we don't want to become another Orange Beach or Gulf Shores. The reason everybody loves Perdido is because it's family-oriented, it's low-key, and I think we should keep it that way. That's the beauty of Perdido.
I live there too.
And we can't get it too big. I mean, we don't have the facilities to do that, okay? you know, I love Orange Beach and I love Gold Shores, but I love Perdido. There's room for all three of us. And I think we should keep Perdido like it is. Calm, lovely, and improve on what we have.
That boat launch, I'm told, generates about $1.1 million in revenue. And it's from the licenses, it's the boaters that come there. So that's a place for everybody, to include the boaters. And I think the whole idea behind this was to make it better for everybody, including the boaters, more access, bathrooms. That sounds great to me. I'd love to have a bathroom over there, so I didn't have to go. Yeah, otherwise you can go next, yeah, you can go there, or you can go to one right there. So the whole idea behind this was, can you come down here? She's had her hand in her arm in the way. The whole idea was to make improvements. That's what it was. It wasn't to encroach. It wasn't to ruin the neighborhood. We want to improve it. So we're going to improve it. We'll probably make some adjustments to the plan, for certainly.
My name is Sadie O'Gara. My parents built their house on Galvez in 1997. I also own a house off of Galvez. I don't want to say I'm opposed to this plan. I'm all for improvements in the neighborhood. You know, I am one of those people where this space has been woven into generations of my family, and it is a gathering place. My main issue is with having these 40-something spaces, what about all of the cars with no trailers that come with each of those boat and trailer? Historically, people have been parking down Inverary Point Road, Galvez, Cruzat, Valderas, all the side streets, Massey, Gant.
In the Inverary Point Park.
At the park, all over the place. These people are parking in private residences. People have to have them towed. It creates a major issue, and it's also a safety issue because people are now crossing over Inverary Point Road to get to the boat ramp. So has that been something that has come up, the parking for the vehicles that come with the boat and trailer? And some people would be opposed to this. Has the county land that is owned right next to the fire station been a consideration for a parking lot?
So boat ramps near neighborhoods are tough. We have the same problems around Navy Point. You know, it loads up, and then for whatever reason, people don't all gather in one vehicle. You know, you get 2 or 3 families on these larger boats, and you've got cars everywhere. This particular design does have, 5 spots along Cruzat, which isn't a lot when you consider how many people are going to be coming. And unfortunately, there's not a real good answer on spillover without going with a lot of local legislation to start creating a larger no parking area in the grand vicinity of the boat ramp. And then still it's going to require on getting enforcement. So it's tough. On a boat ramp, you're effectively near kind of an attractive nuisance for the people that are coming to your neighborhood because they don't have a place to park in your neighborhood.
More boats available, then it's going to make more traffic.
Well, it's part of it. I mean, part of the thought is actually getting us back to how it was.
Yeah, but like somebody else said, it was with smaller parking spots. So they weren't efficient.
But in the 1970s, you were pulling a 17-foot boat with, could have been a Ford Mustang with a bumper hitch.
But in the 1970s, there were 1/10 the amount of people that were today.
But we had 42 parking spaces there.
Nobody could ever use that many parking spaces.
Right, I understand. And it's where I'm kind of going at is the intent wasn't trying to get more and more people to. It's when we restriped it and downsized it, we also got an enormous amount of complaints on that. So the driver is to try to get it back to how it was. And I understand from your point of view, maybe it wasn't full, but we get from the boating public, we said, stop, this striping is temporary. We're working on something to restore those parking places. But
Back to Stacy's
you're
point and to some
somewhat.
other people's point, is there something that, can you guys consider taking that first stretch which seems like a bad design where all those boat and trailers are to be parked on the water. Can you please put that into consideration to make that cars, not boat and trailer parking?
That's really presuming that the project moves forward for the funding request. That it's certainly something that can be part of the discussion with input to, alter it, for the best possible facility we can have.
Thank you. Commissioner Strohberger, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you really might not be aware of the total long history on this. This is the fourth wave of fighting down this project. And again, I live in Navy Point, but when Doug brought this in 2019, this was part of District 2. And Kevin and I led the first wave of fighting this project off. And when Tracy Olson McAdams moved down to Chanticleer, we passed the baton to her. She held a town hall at Hub Stacy's when Doug refused to attend. I do believe that you would have attended. What I'm having a really hard time understanding is there are 250 petitions collected on a dime just to beg you for a town hall. Previously entered into the official record of the county is a previous petition of 300 people demanding that this project not been done. It got shouted down in about a dozen Marine Advisory Committee meetings, and every time it was on the BCC agenda, the people from Inner-Rarity piled up and piled on that podium to say, we don't want this project. Why? Again, if it's not because we always told people there's got to be some development going on, but we can't figure out what it is, and then I found the development doc. Tracy had the development doc. Now, I'm not saying that you have anything to do with that. It was born before your time as a commissioner, but Commissioner Strohberger, that development north of Hub Stacy's got okayed with no parking. And I know for a fact that he was circulating the idea that he could use this boat ramp. Why is this getting brought back again?
I'm not aware of those petitions, but I am aware now. There obviously has to be some changes to what we're doing. And I welcome everybody to come to the office. Can I get another mic back there, please? To discuss this with me. They're over here too, Hassan. Right. Okay. And so I wanted to spell some other rumors. Now, I consider Hub Stacy a friend of mine. I don't know if he thinks I'm his friend, but we've talked. He let me put a sign on his property. I never got a donation from him. I don't have big donors. My big donor is sitting over there, my wife. She's the big donor. I don't have donors. I'm here to listen. I'm not here necessarily to count hands, but I want to know what everybody thinks about this. And I'll make the decision along with the other county commissioners, and it's got to be an adequate project to get restore money. That's why it's what it is. It's pretty grand. Otherwise, we don't get it. So if it gets to be diminished too much, we may not get the money. You might get exactly what you want, and it's the same thing that we got. That's what we have. Go ahead.
Yes, I think one of the reasons, everybody's passionate and emotional about Galvez, it's a community landmark. 17 years ago, my now wife, she's my girlfriend at the time, I launched my 12-foot Avon inflatable boat at Galvez, and we went for a trip to Rogers Island and to get caught in a summer squall, a hurricane squall, and that began the adventure of our life together. And 2001, I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and worked as a civilian contractor supporting our men and women in the United States Navy. And one of the things that I noticed moving to Jacksonville and visiting surrounding areas is the amount of amenities they have for communities, for coastal communities there, boat ramps, public beach access, and things like that. And coming back home to Pensacola in 2015, I just see like it's kind of been like the short-sightedness of I guess our government not providing those things for our residents here, because we don't need another boat. I mean, we don't need to change our boat ramp. We need more boat ramps, and we need more public access. We're still fighting for public access, fighting for boat ramps, and other amenities that we should have had years ago.
So I think that we're running out of places to have boat ramps, for one thing, whether you believe it or not. We are running out of places for that. Looking at the history of this is part of me learning more about Galvez Landing is I don't know, 40 years ago when it was still wooded. It was wooded. This thing is financed by the people that boat. This is who uses it. That's why it was built. I mean, it's great that it's become this landmark that everyone likes to go to, but it's the boaters that it's for, and everybody else. But it's the money that's generated from boating that created that. I want to make sure everybody understands that. And that the boaters are not bad people, they're not evil, and they don't think that the folks that are coming in to enjoy the sunsets are bad either. I think we're going to be able to find a way to make this work. In the back first.
I was at the original meeting when this design was presented, and I had a question for the guy who designed it. I said, "Do you have a boat trailer? Do you have a boat?" He didn't have a boat. He didn't have a trailer. I said, "I really have a problem if this design will actually work. If you get boats backed up out in these parking spaces and trying to back up, there's not enough room to maneuver a boat and trailer in this tight of a design. Literally, I don't think it will work."
The new design?
The new design, really. I mean, it needs more space in the driveway. I mean, to maneuver a 25-foot boat and a 25-foot car, you need a lot of room to maneuver. You get these cars, these spots filled up with boats and trailers, there's no physical way you can maneuver out. But the ones on the other side, there needs to be more space in this thing. This will not work, I don't think. I really don't think it will work. I mean, it's too tight. I mean, it won't, I hate to say that.
Thank you.
Get the guy there. Get somebody designs actually using the trailer and a boat. It's too tight.
Delaney?
My name is Kathleen Leibner. I live in Inner-Area, and
I know you.
Anyway, this was
You
not.
voted for me too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And I know it's tough on you, but we're a pretty tough crowd, but we have good hearts. We really do.
So the people that come to this, I was warned about this, is the people that are coming to this are the ones that are passionate about this. And it's usually the people that don't want something, right? They're coming because they're protesting against something. So I understand. So also understand there are people outside of this room that want it.
Why didn't they come?
Because they're maybe not as passionate. Okay? So
Maybe they don't exist.
maybe they don't. Go ahead, ma'am.
I would like to finish, yes. The boat, the whole area is too small for a huge amount of boats, period. And the boaters are not going to be happy if you try to cram a whole lot of boaters in. They're just going to get angry. I have a question about the property next door. Someone brought this up, it wasn't me, and I think it's a really good question. Why don't we, I know it's different properties, but why isn't there access to the beach on the other side, even steps to go down to that lovely water with the beautiful area that all the money was spent on?
What other side are we talking about?
Where, I know it's a separate project and it's probably separate money and it's maintained by now for 5 years by the people who put it together. But why can't we use common sense and tie those two together so that the people who want to enjoy the water can have more water access and they wouldn't be so frustrated with the others?
We can make that adjustment and probably put a gate in to allow you to easily get back and forth between the two shorelines. The one thing we do have to look at, in part, the reason the original design, for those of you who don't know, that was actually designed by the state, built by the state, and then given to the county. The reason that fence was running along there
is actually, generally speaking, you don't want pedestrians walking across in front of the ramp. You know, the ramp areas to then go to the attraction. That's why they put the entrance towards the front, to try to minimize conflict, potential conflict of people. But recently I've had a number of comments come that, you know, maybe we could consider a gate down towards the water, and that way it makes it a little easier to be able to freely utilize both parks. Yeah, yes, ma'am. What's that?
Kayaks and smaller items can use the other side.
But that's what it was designed for.
Yeah, but they didn't put everything back after the storm. Like, there was a little launch to launch your kayak, that's gone. So they didn't make it back to the way it was.
Like the park next door.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I know change is coming. We can probably make this work between the two plans. I think 44 spaces, whatever, is too many, it's too tight. But just for instance, the plan for the park, you got the parking lot at the top, and they put this nice kayak launch in at the bottom. But they expect you to drag your boat from the top parking lot all the way through the park to the kayak launch. You know who uses that for kayaks? Nobody. There should have been a road down the side of it to where you could drop off your kayak and go back. But that's just an example of it needs to be planned right. The current plan is not going to work. I mean, we have a 24-foot boat with an Expedition, and we're 55 foot long, and it doesn't turn on a dime. And when the old ramp was there, the old striping, people's trucks were getting hit and damaged all the time, fights, all kinds of stuff. When the state park opened up, all those people decided to go pay the $12 to go that way, so it became a neighborhood ramp again. So we're kind of rolling that wheel around again to, anyway.
Thank you for holding this for us. I mean, I know it's a hard sell to stand and listen to people who may not always be the kindest, right? So thank you for doing this. When you say that
What's your name? I'm going to send you a thank you note.
Letisa Kish, and I live on Inverarity Point. I've been there 35 years. I'm a transplant from a landlocked state, but 35 years is a pretty good history. And what I wanted to say about that now, when you say that Galvez was born or funded by voters, so I have best of friends that I have been friends with for that long that are 4, 5, 6 generations in, and they were the fishing community that provided those fundings for that landing to begin. So currently, if those people, the boating community is what you're saying is still funding that, I don't argue that point with you, but what I do want acknowledged is that the heads and beds surrounding that community that live on Inverarity and Inverarity Island and Perdido, that you might use that as well, Key. And the amount of people that continue to build homes there. So again, heads and beds. And that funding that is contributing to our community. But over and over again in this community, I see the cart before the horse. We see things happening that don't have the proper infrastructure. Or we get sandbagged by a plan that's coming that we didn't have any input into. So that's where you get those opposing strong feelings, right?
Yeah,
And one more thing real quick. What I really, really want to keep in mind with all this opposition and all of the pros, because like you say, there's people on the other side that really want this. And somewhere in the middle is where things really happen, right? So let's just keep the health of all of it first and foremost. So the things that we've had happen down there that are wonderful, that are still eroded after storms and things of that nature, like we're not opposing that stuff. We're opposing having some of that stuff taken away from
And when you get people in here that may not be quite as intuitive, or maybe don't have the forthright to be civil, let's put it that way. They are still part of those multi-generations that say that this is a part of what happened.
I know, I get it. I'm a transplant too. I've been here over and over again in the Navy. And my wife and I, we moved back here in 2019. And we live on Inverarity Island, and we love it here. Like I've said before, I think that the gist behind this idea was to improve it. I think the biggest problem everybody has is they're afraid it's going to create more traffic. There's too many spaces. We're also taking up, Hub Stacy's is actually going to lose some of the parking that is county owned. He's going to lose some of that too in the current plan and stuff. So I think that we're going to have to make some changes. And again, I invite everyone to email, come to the office. You can always get to the office. We never miss a phone call. Do we, Hassan? Never. We never miss a phone call, and we answer the emails. So this is a listening and learning thing for me. And so the more I learn about this, the more I think we got to make some changes. We got to make some changes and some adjustments to it. So, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that I've seen a lot of communities utilize restore money to, do projects, things like that. And I've also seen them utilize restore money just for the sake of getting the restore money and doing a project, not necessarily making that project better. And that's why we're here tonight. We want to be sure that if that's the direction that this is going, and if there is a change with restore money, that it works for everyone. And the people of this area don't lose what they value so much, but yet, hopefully, make this project better. And so, I hope that this plan certainly is scrapped and something else comes out to where it can encompass everyone. But like you said, restore money, we all know it has to be a nice big project in order to get that money. Well, if it doesn't qualify, then it doesn't qualify. Scrap it and move on to something else.
Like I said, I think we can make an adjustment to it. And staff thought this was they probably looked in lots of different places. They thought this would be a good place for it. And that's why this was picked. So, yeah, it could be.
We are a boat owner. We are also an owner in the community too. So, we have multiple value in this project, that we want it to stay like it is for the community because we are a member of the community, and we want it utilized for boats also, because we do both.
Thank you. Anything else? I think I get the idea. So, if I was an expert and I knew everything, we wouldn't have to have a town hall. I'd just do exactly what I wanted to do, and you guys would have a no king's parade or protest. But I don't know everything, so I am listening to all of you, and there are going to have to be some adjustments, I think, to the plan, and we're going to figure out. I want to make it better. I want it better. I want to make Galvez Landing even better for the community. That's what I want to do. When I saw bathrooms on the list, I thought, that sounds like a good thing. Why don't we want to do bathrooms? So if we want to restore that beach, that sounds like a good thing too. And we're not removing any trees, and we're talking about leaving. To me, no one said anything about this, about moving I've got some emails about it, about moving the boat ramp to, what's the name of that road? To Cruzat. That seemed like a good idea to me, but some people don't like it because it's too close to Inverarity Point Park. But it provides more safety for the swimmers, and there's more swimming area. So these are things I think that we need to really digest and figure out. And again, I'm not just, this isn't just lip service. I really want you to come. I want to talk to you one-on-one. I want to talk to all of you, as many as I can get in the office. Maybe we do town halls at the office, and we bring in 10 people at a time or something like that. You know, we can do that, I don't care. I'll talk to you all. Go ahead.
Let's do them down at Galvez Landing. Ooh, that's
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Not in the summer, I hope. So this is something we're not in a hurry to do this either, or I'm not in a hurry to do this. We've got the permit for another 5 years, so it doesn't even have to happen in my lifetime.
I'm Mary, and I live like a block from Galvez Landing, so it's my home. It's where I walk every day.
You go out there to Galvez and sit there. I may have seen you before. I think I've seen you.
And also, a couple of us, we clean up that park and also the kids' park. We volunteered through Charles Bear with Adopt a Spot. So we keep that area clean.
Thank you for doing it.
And that's just volunteer. But we love that place and it's home. And so because it is our home, when a project like this comes along, it's like someone sort of invading into our private lives and our private ways of doing things. And it's painful to deal with. You know, it's like sort of an invasion. and so what needs to be done is the people that live there, and it's their home, they need to be accommodated first before the strangers that are coming in. And so that park needs to remain a home to everybody that's there. And you can call it a picnic area, but if you don't put benches down there and tables down there, you can't sit and enjoy being there.
Yeah.
And I know Escambia is not real big on putting furniture on parks.
Well, we can put some weatherproof furniture out there, and I want to do that. We're going to have Parks and Recs do that, because I've been out there with the plastic chairs breaking and stuff. I want to get rid of all that stuff and make it nicer. I mean, that's not homey to me to have a broken chair to sit on and stuff. So we do want to make it nicer. I want to try to convince everybody that all we want to do is make it better. So what better means is what we're going to figure out.
Problem too is that space is limited. I mean, we can't expand on it unless we take homes away or, you know, do
That's
something.
next on the list. We're going to take some homes.
But there are ways that perhaps, I mean, there are two boat docks. One's the state park, and the other's Lillian. And I've gone to Lillian. In fact, when it first opened, I thought, oh, that's awesome. That's going to take some of the strain off Galvez. And I went down there. It's absolutely gorgeous, but it's crickets. It's empty. It's not utilized because the boaters don't want
Because they want to
it
boat
motor-
where we live. That's
they don't
why.
want
They want to
motor.
boat where we live.
And at the state park, they don't want to pay, what, $80 a year to take their boat in there? And so maybe, I don't know that much about boats and sizes and all that, but could it be that there's a limited boat size, or trailer size that's allowed at Galvez Landing that would push those people to another marina?
I don't know if we can do an ordinance like that. Maybe we could. I don't know how you monitor that or you enforce it. Yeah, I guess it depends on the parking spots, how big they are. You got to be able to fit in the darn thing, right? That might be the way to do it.
Boat size. I mean, it's just a thought I had, but because there should be a way to move some of that traffic to these beautiful boat launches that are right next to us. And so what, we're just gonna ignore those and try to...
Again, I think a lot of the people that are using Galvez Landing are local folks. I don't think they're coming from, District 5 or north of District, northern part of District 1. I think they are our neighbors still using that. But we can explore the idea of limiting the space of parking spots.
They've been charged a certain size boat that would have to pay less if they went to the state park. I mean, there's got to be a way. I know Gulf Breeze has Shoreline Park, and it's a very similar kind of thing because it's a peninsula just like in Rarity Point. And they have a good balance of boats on one side and people on the other side. And they have lots of parking for cars. So, but I think what they started doing is, and I hate to even say this, but the people that weren't in that vicinity, or maybe that, I don't know, area code, I don't know what you'd want to say, but they have to pay. They have like a little booth set up and it's a self-pay. But people get ticketed if they're not. But the locals of Gulf Breeze don't have to pay anything. They get a sticker to put on their car. So they get in free. I mean, these are just ideas.
Those are good ideas. I like them.
So, I don't know, it's just kind of like we're trying to take a size 6 shoe and stick a size 12 foot into it. And
Yeah, we're trying to put Shaq's foot in the size 6.
So I don't know, I mean, surely there can be a balance that, but I think that if you can appease the local people that live there and use it, and they don't feel like they're being shoved out or they're second fiddle to new boaters that want to use the launch.
So everyone understands, the only reason I'm doing this job is for my community. I live in the same community you live in. So I want to make decisions that you guys can live with too, not just the ones that I, think are good ideas. That's why I need you to come and see me. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Anything else, or can I go and get some pizza now? Okay.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for taking my question. I got here a little bit late. The big question, or one of the many big questions I have, is concerning the paperwork I've seen online, the plans drawing. Really, really hard to make out, details. If you guys do go forward with something, you probably should provide the public with paperwork that you can actually read, what's going on, more detailed. Usually when you have plans drawn up, for things like this, they go into great detail, and it's little bitty letters, but concerning any kind of riprap or a seawall, how high, what it's built out of, and a little more detail. What now? I may have not seen what's out there, but what I've seen, it's not a lot of detail for anyone that really is trying to pay attention to go. I'm sorry.
You can't blow it up to see it.
Yeah, and when you try to blow it up, it only gets much more blurry. And so if you want our input, we need to have a real accurate, idea what's going on, right down to how high is the seawall, how many rocks you're going to put in there, and just all the details, or as many as you can put on there, and also send it to us or have it posted in a way that the public can actually read.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
I know you do.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really understand it that great. I mean, the details of it until even today when I got 3 different maps of what it looks like, what the old one looked like, what it looked like before that, and what it's going to look like in the future, overlaid on a satellite image of it, which is still kind of hard to look at. But I've been looking at it a little bit more than you probably because I'm.
Yeah, and that definitely helps, the overlay and everything, that certainly does help, but we do need details, and really, I don't know that the local folks have got together enough to really respond, and so it sounded like, I got in here late, but it sounded like you're saying that you're willing to we don't have to jump on this right away, but you certainly need to take more time and more detail for everyone to get properly informed so that we can report back to you.
I'm hearing myself, and it's what it sounds like I said.
Well, I must have missed that. Like I said, I just walked in.
No, I appreciate it, thank you.
And is there any, any information we can get, and any information we might be able to get in that particular area of any future plans for any kind of development? Because, I mean, we're at a certain point now with it, but if there's going to be some more development up and down that road, if there's going to be more development up and down that road, that should be factored in also. If there's going to be townhouses put down there, or exactly what's going on with that, instead of us just all walking blindly into it. So, but it sounds like you're willing to take a little more time than just the 20.
I'm willing to. Transparency isn't just a, campaign slogan or anything. I want transparency.
Right, good.
I want it for myself, so that I can talk with you about it.
Right, and that's, yeah, correct, that's your job. And, but we need to definitely, we get together with good information. So, thank you. And I thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This may be a question for the other gentleman there with you.
Okay.
We're kind of under the impression that this, and I hear everybody's concerns tonight, and then also timing, you said 5 years or whatever. But we're hearing that this project would be set to begin in November of this year and would last a period of up to 1 year. So is that still the plan? Is this project going forward in November of this year? I think it may have came out from a news journal report from maybe Molly Barrows put out a form, or there was something that went out on email. So is the project moving forward in November of this year?
That's easy. No. The part we're in right now is seeking funding. And so it's going to take 6 months to a year to get the funding established. Once the funding is established, at that point is when we talked earlier that we'll re-engage an engineer, and then we can start talking about the compromises and the things that have been coming up, and we will spend this next year, actually getting input and being able to make adjustments to plans and trying to make this, as palatable for everybody.
Do you feel like the project
funding with design? It's not moving forward with breaking ground.
Okay. Do you feel like the project would last 1 year?
Construction?
Yes.
It would be less than a year.
So right now, this is just in the wish we could have list. This is what this is. That's all it is. But we've got some design going on, just a rough design, but there's a lot more to this. What does he want?
Hey, good evening, Commissioner. Hey, what I don't like is saying District 5. You know how long it takes me to get to the beach? I don't.
We're gonna build a canal from District 5 that comes right to Inner
Hey,
I didn't tell everybody that.
Probably should. Hey, I do want to thank you for having town halls and interacting with your public. That's very commendable because you said you'd do it. And you're taking bullets from people out here. That's pretty good. You shouldn't be the only one. You can't fix potholes. You're a commissioner. That's not your
No,
job.
I can't.
No,
I don't fix them myself,
No, you
but I
can't.
sure
It's
can
the road
help.
department.
Get someone to help me.
It's the road department. The guy, one of your hirees is over the look at that, right? Over the department heads, and he's sitting in the audience. So it's a QA, quality assurance that should go be checking the potholes, right? That's what should happen.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
that's what we should be looking at is hiring those people back into the road department to go check the quality
Yeah, I
assurance.
understand that there was
Yeah,
some article
so I'm
about
not sure about all that.
25 people short or something like that.
And what I really want to say is, you said something twice. Actually, I think you talked twice. You said you listened to staff, and they said, "Hey, staff pointed you in this direction." The greatest thing that you've done tonight is listen to the people about what the people really wanted. You let them say what they wanted to say about this boat landing. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate that too. But I gotta listen to staff. Look, I'm no expert in any of this stuff. So I do listen to staff, I do listen to people, and we figure something out. And it's gonna be a compromise. It'll have to be. It might compromise one way or the other more, but I'm just hoping we'll make everybody happy. Like I said, I got no skin in the game. I'm not a boater myself. I do want it to be nicer because I got grandkids who like to go there and have ice cream. So, and I want it to be safe. I want there to be a bathroom there. If we can protect the trees, that's great, and the shoreline. Those all sound like good things. So we can at least do those things, I think, without too much public approval. It's the other stuff, you know, the capacity issues and stuff and the access. We're gonna work on that.
It's your last one here, Commissioner.
This is the last question?
Yeah, I have a silly question to ask you.
Okay, no silly questions. Next one.
Do we actually ask for funding before we have a plan? Did I understand that correctly? How do
No.
we do that, and
You
why?
have to have a plan before you ask for the money. You have to.
Well, but think about this. If you're in the stages of trying to get funding, and we're now talking about changing everything, I don't understand how that works. I'm just,
So it's,
yeah, but what if the design costs less, and we can,
it's,
not
so
much money?
this is all what's called Pot 1 Restore. And what Pot 1 means, it's a pool of money that's coming to Escambia County. Over 15 years, we're getting approximately $75 million. So the board prioritizes how to spend it. And if something costs a little more, we can go to the kitty and get a little more. If it doesn't cost as much, we put the money back and it gets put into the very next project. So this is, you know, I'm saying it's restore. There is a process to get it. We have to meet some environmental goals, some tourism goals, but it's a restricted pot of restore that's kind of like your local option sales tax. It's up to the board how to prioritize and expend those funds. So it's not I'm not, in this particular case, I'm not getting a competitive grant where you're talking about would make perfect sense. It has not. We just finished the public comment period. Before this last group of Restore project goes, it'll go back to the board, get their blessing to push it up. And then it takes up to a year to get the grants pulled back down.
We can really,
Issues.
we can slow this way down though. And we can slow it way down to fix the issues that we're talking about.
Yeah, because I'm thinking we have so many issues here in the county. It seems to me if we could do it in, you know, the most economical way and still get all our everything in the row, that would be the way to do it. I'm very budget conscious, and I hate to ask for money when, you know, I thought we were asking for money, but if it's allotted, I guess we can use it for other things.
Well, I mean, one of the important things to remember on Galvez is it's an aging facility. I can tell you right now, we don't have funds to rebuild. Even if we wanted it 100% as it is today, we don't have a funding source to rebuild it, you know, reconstruct it, and so give us, you know, that next 30 years of life or 40 years of life. And so this is also our opportunity to know what this is going to be for the next 40 years, because when this gets rebuilt, it's set. Just as a small tidbit for those that are afraid of privatization, if we utilize restored constructed, it'll come with a restriction that if for any reason the county were to sell the property or privatize it, the county would actually have to pay that money back to restore. And so it's you know, obviously I can't, as a staff member, I can never say never, but to me that's very close to getting to say, you know, never. That's not.
You again?
Yeah, me again.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, and it would probably remove a lot of pros, cons, and everything else. Put it out publicly in one location with a set of high-level construction drawings so we can look at them, and we can remark to them. With social media being like it is, and everybody on their own little tangent, we're getting a lot of wrong stories. But it would be helpful to just have one set of drawings, and then we can all work from there.
Okay.
Me again.
Yeah. My granddaughter's been waiting for some pizza, so if you don't mind, can we wrap this up? I want to thank everybody for coming out here. I know that everyone's passionate about that. That's why we're talking about it. And I promise you, if you haven't got my business card, get it from Hassan. He'll be at the door and he can pass them out. Contact us anytime. We will respond to you. Thank you very much.